So security, password no, read protected no, and ECU is connected, normal mode, and FL5 unknown. So it looks like, sorry, it doesn't say it's a DE5. I know, we'll forgive them. But it looks like we should be good to go.
What do you say the baseline?
500 plus minus 250.
290 to the wheels, jeez.
Oh, this is not German. You're too used to the German cars. Welcome once again. Now on the platform of our Mustang Dyno with a laptop and a little tool here. So what we have here is the beautiful DE5 from the guys at COBB Tuning. Hi. We're going to be tuning this car with the COBB Accessport. On top of that, we have a special tool here that COBB has sent us, and that we will be able to do the unlocking for these ECUs. It's a one-time unlock that you have to do. We're gonna be able to be doing this in-house. This will work with, obviously, COBB, and this will also work with Honda if you choose to go in that direction. The guys at COBB and Andy with his Integra here will be going with COBB, so we'll be using the Accessport to dial in this car, a tool we're very familiar with, a tool that works very well, and I'm super happy to have this exclusive. It's quite exclusive to have one of these B-Flash tools to be able to unlock these ECUs. So we're gonna start where all good things start, with an unlocking. Then we're going to do some baselining. Then we're going to do an intake, an OTS tune. We're gonna do some custom tuning, the whole shebang, and we're gonna walk you guys through that, see what it looks like, show you the numbers. So let's jump right in. This is truly the job of artistry here. And then boom. All right, now that we're secure, this guy right here. All right, now that the ECU is unlocked, the next step is something that you guys all expect from a COBB Accessport. Alex has it right here in his hand, and he's going to plug it into the OBD port and just go through a really straightforward installation process. We're gonna have a stage 0 tune, which is a stock emulated calibration from COBB, because we want to baseline the car with the existing parts, which is that Blitz intake, and then we'll move on from there.
Seconds later.
All right, so the guys at COBB have used our dyno here to install an intake. Did you know you could use a dyno to? No. Okay, anyways, in all seriousness, they've got this sweet carbon intake from COBB. That is going to work with the COBB Stage 1 tune, and that's what they have on the Accessport. So this is a mass airflow based car, which means that the piping inner diameter here, as well as the curvature in the pipe and so on, will affect your tune. So unless you're gonna go with something that has been tested by the manufacturer to work with the stock tune, you gotta make sure that you have the right tune for the intake installed. And this is of course something that we can help out with. COBB does have their OTS tune, which we're about to run right now, which is designed for this intake, so I don't expect any surprises there. And then we're gonna take it from there and do our custom tuning. So I'm gonna jump right in here and do a pull with stage 1, the COBB intake, and then we're gonna do our custom tuning and we're gonna discuss the results to death. All right, as I like to say, welcome to the meat and potatoes of the whole situation. Here is our stratified tune overlaid with the stock calibration. On this car, which just has a COBB intake as a modification, as a power adder, we have 349 wheel horsepower and 397 foot-pounds of torque in terms of peak numbers. You can obviously see that we're making more power across the entire power band, so no matter where you're gonna step on the throttle, you're going to feel that additional power. Now, how does this compare to the COBB OTS tune that comes with the Accessport? Well, here's the OTS tune. There's obviously a smaller gap. We're able to gain 17 wheel peak and 31 foot-pounds of torque versus the Stage 1 SF OTS tune made for 93 fuel. This car is on 93 pump gas. You can once again see that we're able to have gains across the entire power band. So once again, gains are everywhere. They're obviously a little bit smaller for the custom tuning. Now, the other thing that has come up in tuning this car is that it is quite sensitive to temperature. So as far as hard parts modifications, an intercooler is definitely something that you should consider. And I know that we're going to have that as well to show you guys shortly. But while we had this with the stock intercooler, we did 3 back-to-back runs. And what I wanted to show you here is how the power changes as we do multiple back-to-back runs. So these are all in 4th gear. The dyno is a loaded dyno. So it takes between 10 and 11 seconds to do a full 4th gear pull. And that does heat soak the OEM intercooler and just the motor. So you can see that we actually lost 12 foot-pounds of torque and about 7 wheel horsepower, and you can see the faint line is actually the power loss line, which is the 3rd pull. So that's kind of what you can expect on our calibration. Now, why I wanted to show you this, because we actually had the zip tie guys on the dyno in the summer, and in the summer we did a pull that was at about 24 degrees Fahrenheit higher temperature, so in the mid 80s versus in the low 60s where we are today. And you can see that on the stock, this is all stock OEM calibration with a blitz intake, the power loss is much more dramatic than what we saw today with multiple gear pulls. So this is, again, stock tune, just a blitz intake. It was a 35 horsepower difference between summertime and today, and also a 11 foot-pounds of torque. You can also see that the turbocharger is significantly slower to spool. So the takeaway here is that the car is sensitive to heat, just like all turbocharged cars are. More cooling is always better. Higher octane, of course, always better. But also having a calibration in there that takes all that and puts it together is important, because these cars are sensitive. They have character, they have personality. Each car is a little bit different, and that's where the value of the custom calibration for your particular parts, your particular car, and your particular fuel really comes in. So you can see that just stock calibration from high temperature to low temperature, there's a lot of loss. And when we did the back-to-back pulls trying to replicate that heat soak, we're actually able to keep things more consistent with our stratified tuning. So what's left to do for now, before bolting on any more parts, is to go for a drive and experience how this additional torque and power feels on Andy's car. Let's see what the DE5 can do here. Of course, oh yeah, okay. We got hardware coming off the dash here. Just all the way to redline. These are...
It's a rocket.
Oh yeah.
Way more intense.
Wow. No torque steer though. I gotta say, like...
Yeah, just wheel hop and spin.
But it's good, it's composed, and just having that additional power, it's good. I'm really glad you guys could bring this by so we can dial it in, and I'm happy to be experiencing it on the road. It's just so satisfying to see the end product on the road versus just, you know, on the dyno. Seeing people enjoy it really was what makes my day, makes my job. That's why I do it.
One eternity later.
What we've got here specifically is that we've got the next upgrade that we're going to be doing or tuning for on this car is this big, nice aluminum intercooler. The guys at COBB Tuning have put a kit together that includes not just a big massive core in here that seals properly, it's got the little bat wing that goes in here and really seals it to the front, but we also have charge piping underneath here, and the charge piping is large in size. It is all clamped down. We are actually doing a clamping retightening of these clamps because they can blow off. So when you're installing this kit, make sure you get tight on those clamps. The cars do run a significant amount of boost. It can be over 25 pounds of boost, and popping one of these will throw a check engine light. You can still drive your car, unlike the GR Corolla, which you had the experience with. However, if you do pop one of these, you know, you have to take some panels off to get to them. So make sure they're tight in the first place. Coming underneath here, it's really quite interesting to see what Honda has done. Let's start with the engine. So one of the big differences that you see in this K-Series versus a lot of the other cars that we work on, the modern cars that we work on, because back, you know, 20, 30 years ago, all the cars were built like this, where they used to put the exhaust manifold at the front of the engine and then turbos at the front of the engine. So Honda has maintained this, whereas like Volkswagen and Ford and so on, they've all moved the turbo into the back. Now, I cannot say to know all the reasons why they have maintained this design. What I do notice is that we've got basically the catalytic converter is right up here and the turbos are up here. It's very close to the radiator. So you're gonna get some radiant heat happening into the radiator from this turbocharger being quite hot. The other thing that's interesting is that you have to run your exhaust underneath the car to obviously get it to the back. And this poses another challenge, and that is that you're gonna have radiating heat coming into the oil pan, potentially heating up your oil, and you have to run kind of like a long and awkward exhaust turn here where it goes over the subframe and the steering rack, and then it follows through to the end of the car. So I can't say why Honda has chosen to go this way. I'm sure they have their reasons, but this is definitely a notable difference from a lot of the other front wheel drive and transverse mounted setups that we see. Another couple of interesting pieces here. So the transmission fluid, if you come around here, so transmission itself has a cooler. We don't often see this. So it's a Mahle cooler. It is cooled / heated with coolant from the engine, and it is clearly attached to the transmission here. So that's very, very interesting. Speaking of uncommon and unusual, so Honda is known with the FK8, with the FL5 DE5, to have a very low torque steer, and I can attest to that. The cars are very effective at putting the power down for a front-wheel drive car. They achieve this through a limited slip differential, but often a limited slip differential actually increases torque steer. So what they've done here is, if you look carefully, they have a very cool setup of the suspension and geometry and knuckle in the front. So first of all, everything is aluminum. They spent a lot of time, effort, energy, and money on this. Second of all, what you'll notice, it's like a double wishbone where you have a ball joint at the very top, you have a ball joint at the very bottom, and then you have, so this is your steering, your tie rod here for your steering, and then you have another rod right here with ball joints, and this is what stabilizes the entire knuckle. This is, I guess, the magic piece that prevents some of that torque steer and some of those unwanted kind of front-wheel drive when you're applying power and turning at the same time characteristics. So it's very cool to see this up close. We know it's effective, we know it works. Another couple of interesting pieces here is that if we come around here, and you'll see that you've got this brake cooling duct that goes from the front of the car in here, and it follows through, and it just comes out right here. And it actually has this little piece of plastic attached to the knuckle that guides the air right behind the caliper, cooling the caliper, and the two-piece rotor that they have on this car. So Honda has definitely worked hard to keep things cool in the braking region of the car. The rest of the exhaust, actually all of the exhaust, is completely stock. And if you follow this here, it is a 2.5 inch from the looks of it. So the GR Corolla actually has a slightly larger diameter exhaust. Interesting that Honda has gone with this size exhaust in spite of the larger displacement of the vehicle. And then we've got this very funky setup here to let the exhaust come out of the back. Multiple canisters. This is valved. The center one is valved. This is their thing. Not sure how I feel about it. Seems like a lot of complication, but it does sound good, and we got to give them credit for that. So they've obviously done their homework there. In the rear of the car, it is a little bit simpler than the front. The knuckles are aluminum, but the rest is steel. Underneath here, the subframe is steel. The front subframe is actually aluminum. And then you have your active dampeners here in the back. And then you have your e-brake on a single piston, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is a single piston sliding caliper in the back. So the brake setup in the back is a lot simpler than what you have in the front. And you know, you obviously see where the R&D and money really went to. It went into the front of this car. The tires are super wide. I mean, they're a 265. That's a lot of meat. It is a big car, but it's got some wide tires, and I love the flares on this car because it allows these much larger wheels and tires to fit and give you grip. One thing that I will knock Acura specifically for is the fact that you can't fully disable the stability control when you're driving this car, the traction control, and that intervenes. On the Type R of the same generation, on the FL5, you can do it, just not on this car, which I don't know why. I guess it's more of a street type of vehicle. Regardless, Acura, please allow us to take that off. That's no fun when we can't fully disable that easily. So that's kind of the underneath of this car, and we're going to throw this thing on the dyno, dial it in for a little bit more power, because as I alluded to at the beginning of this discussion, heat is the enemy, and a bigger intercooler helps deal a little bit more with that enemy. Gonna engage the dyno eddy current brake, and then we're just gonna hold on. Here we go. Actually feels good. Just sitting here, you can feel it.
Hell yeah.
All right, that felt good. Now, let's jump right into the meat and potatoes of the situation. So this car was tuned very recently by us on 93 octane with a COBB intake via the COBB Accessport. And now we have it here with the addition of a front mount intercooler. I alluded to the fact that they are knock sensitive. Every engine is knock sensitive, especially when it's turbocharged, especially when we're pushing it to make the most power, in other words, to be as efficient as possible. And this is no exception. So when we add an intercooler, we are going to raise its ability to do two things. One is to make a little bit more power, a better flow, less pressure drop across a bigger core, and less heat. Less heat, that means more power. But we're also adding its ability to do so time and time again. So first of all, the power numbers here, which we gained just about 9 horsepower, perhaps don't tell the whole story, because what we have is we have 9 horsepower across the entire power band and about between 9 and 12 foot-pounds of torque across the entire power band. So every time you step on it, you're going to get that additional performance, and that's something that you'll feel. On top of that, you're gonna be able to feel it again and again with a lot less heat soak. So if we look at the data here, we're seeing that the charger temperature started about 79 degrees Fahrenheit, During the pull, they drop to about 65. So there's actually a drop as air is being pushed into the manifold, which means the core of the intercooler is cooler. And then by the end of this 4th gear pull, we're only at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're getting very, very little heat soak across the entire pull, and this is about a 10-second pull in 4th gear. The intercooler is efficient and it's cooling. If we were to compare this to what we had previously with the stock intercooler, we would hit that trough of 82 Fahrenheit in that case, but then you see this climb, and we're about 115. So instead of having the addition of only about 3 degrees Fahrenheit during the pull, prior to the intercooler swap, we were adding 15 plus 18, so that is 33, we're adding 33 degrees Fahrenheit. That is a significant change in this car's ability to cool its air charge and its ability to perform time and time again. So, is it worth doing an intercooler? Absolutely. It is definitely worth doing an intercooler when you're upgrading the performance and even on a stock turbocharged car. That's it. That's all. The conclusion is obvious. Oh, one more little tidbit before we check out here. It is that there is also an improvement in response. You can see that we're getting to peak torque a little bit faster with the intercooler, and that's just a function of a better flowing part and less pressure drop across its core. Do you have any questions? Feel free to get in touch with us. We tune, set up, talk, smell, eat, breathe cars every day, and we can help you guys out too. Until next time, thanks again for the Zip Tie guys for having us on this project. Love their car, love those guys, love the Hondas. See you guys next time. Like, subscribe.
Yeah, like, subscribe.
And buy our tunes.
Yeah. Get an unlock here.
Let's do it.